Welcome to today's explainer. So let's just jump right into it. Have you ever noticed how some people just vanish? I mean, they stop replying to texts, they completely drop off your social media feed, and they just stop showing up to the usual weekend gatherings. But here's the thing, and it's a big catch. There was no massive blowout argument. There was no grand dramatic announcement. They just kind of quietly slipped away. Well, today, we're going to unpack the hidden psychology behind why highly intelligent people suddenly drop off the radar.
Take a second and think about someone you know who fits that description. Maybe it's a friend who used to be the literal life of the party, but slowly, almost invisibly, faded into the background. You know, our very first instinct is usually to worry, right? Or, let's be honest, we might even take it personally. But psychology actually suggests this silent exit isn't some sort of sign of defeat or rejection at all. It's actually a sign of a massive, fundamental shift in their priorities.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how society usually jumps to the absolute worst conclusions when someone pulls back. We assume they're depressed, secretly angry at us, or just turning totally antisocial. But the psychological reality? Completely different. Highly intelligent people often distance themselves for a really calculated reason. They are undergoing a complete realignment of what actually matters to them.
All right, so let's get into Section 1, guarding your mental energy.
As people mature, they start to realize that human attention is this severely limited resource. To put that into perspective, your brain literally consumes about 20% of your body's energy every single day, just sitting there. So every casual chat, every social obligation you half-heartedly agree to, and every single ping on your phone, that's spending your mental currency. People with highly demanding cognitive lives quickly figure out that if they aren't incredibly careful, those daily little drains eat up the whole pie, leaving absolutely nothing left for the things that actually matter. So instead of trying to be everything to everyone, which is exhausting, by the way, they become ruthlessly selective. They aren't isolating themselves. They're actually building a fortress around their attention. By starving out all those casual distractions, they suddenly unlock this deep, intense focus required to build a career, master a complex skill, or honestly just protect their peace of mind.
Which brings us to Section 2, the internal shift.
You see, protecting your energy like that requires a fundamental change in how you process the world. Instead of immediately crowdsourcing opinions for every minor life update, these individuals start processing major changes strictly internally. They spend vastly more time quietly reflecting than they do explaining themselves to others. And because of this, their absolute biggest life decisions are usually made long before anyone else even notices a shift has happened.
It's wild when you think about how much of our everyday social interaction is just driven by the desire to fit in, right? We want that constant reassurance from our peer group. But as someone develops a really strong internal compass, their need for that outside validation just drops off a cliff. They naturally start dropping out of the everyday chatter, the endless social media debates, and those sprawling social circles. It's not that they suddenly dislike people, not at all. They just no longer need external applause to feel totally secure in the path they're taking.
Moving right along to Section 3, outgrowing the old. When your internal values go through a massive shift like that, it inevitably sends shockwaves through your existing relationships. Psychologically speaking, we naturally seek out environments that mirror our current goals. But let's be real for a second. Not every friendship is built to last a lifetime. Some of them become highly repetitive, negative, or just totally emotionally draining. And when someone is fiercely guarding their mental energy, they spot these draining dynamics instantly.
And here is the kicker. Rather than starting some massive, dramatic falling out, they make a highly mature choice. They choose distance over conflict. When a connection stops matching their trajectory, they don't blow the whole thing up. They just quietly step back. They just let the leaves fall where they may. I absolutely love this perspective right here. They let their actions speak instead. This touches on what is arguably one of the hardest psychological skills to master in life. Accepting that people will misunderstand you and actually being okay with it. Most people waste years, literally years, trying to justify their growth to others. But highly intelligent people? They simply kill the urge to explain. They realize that being misunderstood is just a really small tax to pay for staying perfectly true to their own priorities.
And that brings us to our fourth and final section, the real core of this whole phenomenon, running toward a new life.
This right here is a total paradigm shift. Having clear priorities naturally equals zero availability for the noise. Now, just because someone goes dark on social media doesn't automatically make them some brooding genius, right? But psychology clearly shows us that as someone gains razor-sharp clarity on their future, their tolerance for distractions just vanishes.
It perfectly explains why quiet people are often running toward a new life.
This means we really have to stop taking their absence personally. When the quietest people in our lives step back, they are not retreating in defeat. They aren't running away from you, they aren't running from their history or hiding from some unresolved anger.
As this quote so beautifully captures, they're simply running toward a different life. This is the ultimate reframe. I mean, why are quiet people often running toward a new life? Because true transformation requires immense, unbreakable focus. Their perceived disappearance is actually this incredibly empowering, intentional sprint toward a brand new chapter. The biggest, most leveled up moments in life rarely happen with a megaphone. They almost always happen in the silence.
So I'll leave you with this final, somewhat provocative question. The next time someone vanishes from your circle, are you going to assume they're just lost? Or will you wonder what incredible thing they are quietly building? Now that you see the hidden psychology behind this, I challenge you to look a little closer for these silent shifts in the people around you, and hey, maybe even in yourself. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep observing and keep growing.